This tutorial covers the second part of the ESCON2 Startup Wizard, the configuration of the inputs and outputs. The analog and digital inputs and outputs of the ESCON2 can be used for all kinds of purposes. This tutorial, however, focuses on the basic configuration options and functionalities required for standalone operation with analog and digital inputs and outputs. Useful digital input functionalities are Drive Enable and Quick Stop that we configure on digital input 3 and 4 respectively. To configure set values, there are different possibilities. The first is an analog set value voltage that we can configure, for example, on analog input 1. Such an analog set value signal typically stems from a PLC or a potentiometer. Within the voltage range of plus minus 10 volt, you are free to define 2 points. In between, there is a linear extrapolation between set value voltage and speed. With our example, this would result in a set speed of 4000 RPM at 0 volt analog set value. However, usually you would define something more symmetrical. Of course, it's reasonable to set the operation mode to I/O velocity mode when using any input options for speed commands. The second set value possibility is to read in a PWM signal on digital input 1 or 2. The maximum PWM duty cycle range is between 10 and 90%. Again, you are free to define 2 velocity points with linear interpolation. Observe, PWM signal input is only possible on digital input 1 or 2. A third set value option is to define up to 4 fixed speed that you can select by the combination of any 2 digital inputs. Just configure 1 or 2 of the inputs as velocity set value switches and define the respective speeds. For instance, 580 RPM, 1000 RPM and 3000 RPM or 5000 RPM in the other direction. Such a fixed speed setting can be useful for applications that run at defined velocity levels. Think of conveyors or fans with a low, medium and high speed selection. Analog outputs are typically used to deliver information about the state of the drive system. You can monitor velocity, current and/or temperature. We strongly recommend to only use averaged values for current and velocity. Non-averaged values are noisy and don't really reflect the physical speed and torque of the motor. The digital outputs offer the possibilities to indicate the ready or faulty state of the controller. On brushless motors, Hall sensor frequency signals can be monitored as well. And at the end, don't forget to press the Finish button to save your configuration. With this, you should know the most important configuration settings of the inputs and outputs on the ESCON2. As you have seen, there are many more options which are documented in the manuals.